Good morning, everyone. Welcome to UK Deaf Leadership Summit webinar series for 2024. This is the final one for 2024 when it comes to an end. I am Craig Crowley with the name sign CC. For our guest today, an amazing guest, Dean Barton-Smith, DBS for short. I am so excited to have this conversation with him. Dean, please come on the screen.
I've got Brian from Great Britain. Nice to meet you.
This is just so wonderful, and it's just so lovely to see you, Dean. With the UK Deaf Leadership Summit webinar, it is not just for the UK, it's worldwide as well. We have Americans, Australian, New Zealanders, some Europeans, and of course, people who are British. So it goes out there to the wider audience. Now, for you, the audience, this conversation will last for an hour and we will be very prompt with the hour. For those of you unable to attend live, this will also be recorded, so nobody is missing out. So you can watch it live and you can watch the recording. We have so much to talk about because of you as a person, Dean Barton-Smith.
Well,
You just froze for a moment there. Now, you have got the most interesting background and your journey, and all will be revealed soon. So, Dean Barton-Smith is the current Director of Accessibility Communications, which is a national disability insurance agency based in Australia, of course, because Dean himself is an Australian. He himself is a former athlete, not just an athlete, but an Olympian and Deaf Olympian. And there's one more, Commonwealth athlete. Three major significant titles. All will be revealed. So let's start with the questions, Dean. Can you go back right to the very beginning and talk about your childhood, your early years, your family dynamic? Dean, over to you.
thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone in Great Britain. It's nearly 9 at night in Australia. Good to be your wonderful opportunity to talk to you. Well, where to start? Really? I was born when well, death was about 2, 3 or 4, only because we were born by doctors that you're not responding well, maybe just normal 2-year-old boy that is ignoring mother. But nothing. But it was up to about 4, I realized my best friend's mother, she herself had hearing, hard of hearing herself. So a test for me watching TV, 43 due to black and white. What's that? So, my mother's friend brought 2 pot, the cooking pot, went up, bang, back of my head, and didn't respond. My mother friend said, "You need to see an audiologist to test
Yeah, that's the
maybe
sign.
hearing." So how we could be either complications with birth, difficult, long labour, or I had German measles. Was that too early? Common, don't know which. That and hearing out that. My mother married my father at that time. He was in the army. He went to Vietnam.
Vietnam.
War.
Wow.
He joined the army, but he came back not well. And anyone who went to Vietnam in the war. It wasn't a nice experience. I was only a young man at that time, 20, 21, 22, young.
Wow.
It wasn't well. My mother and me grew up single mother most of my life. So, mother. So, my daughter went to deaf school when I was 4 years old. Deaf school before, but my mother had to move the house. Was a single mother, facing not my money. We had to move. Had to go to a normal mainstream school, healing school. Move. So I was always the only deaf person in the school. 1,300 students with me deaf. So how do I survive? I still don't know how I survived, but it was that's my life. So later, when I was 12, my mother remarried again. And my stepfather, he was a professional fisherman, catch prawn, crab, built his own big
Wow.
steel boat in his backyard, big with his brother. So again, we moved where the fish goes, move. So again, experience here working on a boat. So that's my childhood been like that, really.
How interesting. What an interesting journey. So you started off at a deaf school and then moved to a mainstream school. Now, can you tell us what was it like to be a deaf child in a mainstream world? How did you communicate? What was your approach to communication? What was the culture? So to go from a deaf school to a mainstream, can you talk a little bit more about
Yeah,
that?
well, I don't remember much when I was 4, but when I moved to Hill School, it was just like, if you have a disability or if you have Aboriginal background, Aboriginal background, First Nation background, straight away you'll be targeted in mainstream school. So I was thought it was back then I had no choice. I had to survive through that school. So sitting in class, watching, trying to read the teacher's lips. But you all know when the teacher turned their back, missed, missed a lot. So often,
Wow.
so
Wow.
often I missed a lot, and that so I thought that was normal. Me at that time, was still very new in that area. Yeah,
Yeah, they didn't
but
think back
had
then.
to survive through that. I remember the school, always every year we get a report card. It always says my score maybe 0 to 7, 7, well, 0. I was always 2 or 3, 2 or 3. So they always write I was below average student, was like bright. So I accepted that I wasn't a bright person. It took me a long time and later realized it wasn't me, it was the environment around me different.
The system. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, the challenging school upbringing, yeah. Mate, that time, if you have a disability, people don't understand about disability, so they're always picking or scratching a little bit what you can do. So it was
Yeah.
an interesting experience.
I can well imagine it was challenging in your early years growing up and being the only deaf in a mainstream. Or should I say it the other way around? Thinking positive
Absolutely.
here. Deaf game. Right. Let me think. Obviously, at that time, when you were growing up, you were becoming a teenager. What were your aspirations, your ambition? What were your influencers for you to take the next step as a teenager? And I'm sure you have a lot to tell me on that,
Yes,
don't
so
you?
my teenage again, I didn't have big vision for myself, big dream, what to do. Like later, I became CEO because I grew up in an environment. at that time where if you have a disability, you're always, you might have a great job, blue collar worker, maybe cleaner, that environment that taught me like maybe that's all I could do. So as a teenager, I didn't have opportunity to be exposed to deaf leader, nothing, real role model, nothing.
You're right.
My mum heard what was see on TV, newspapers, nothing. Really, I had no opportunity to have a dream, but what I do well with sport, that was my strength. I'll be able to pick up quickly, wash, and able to adapt quickly, very quickly. I guess it was when I was watching the motivation actually came from sport for others. I think my story is when I was 7, or I'll say that one later, but it was when I went to the Deaflympics when I was 17, first Deaflympic Games in 1985 in America, LA. I was 17. 1 year before that, Brisbane briefly had the 1982 Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
And I remember my mother, one woman who deaf woman in Australia, breaststroker. Her name is Cindy Lou Fitzpatrick. Deaf. How she with swimming, how she knows with the pride a deaf person do that. That's the only time I saw a deaf person being recognised anywhere. So it was the pride. I was only 16. I had heard about the Deaflympics through a friend. He was good at athletics. Deaflympics, good athletics. Go over to America. So I went to an information night and they talked, lucky Cindy Lou, Cindy Lou, with them got so she the spark into that can
The inspiration.
I think that when I started to just from my thinking about low expectation, we realised maybe I had potential. So interesting time. So work.
Wow.
I left school when I was year 11. Didn't finish the year 12. So I thought I should be a fisherman. That's what I thought I would do. So that time in my life, didn't have a lot of dream for professionally, but a little interest in sport.
Yeah, that is amazing, because obviously you were resigned to the fact that of your career prospects, but you use sport as your means to escape, and that you inspired yourself to have those aspirations and that goal as your means to escape. So you were part of the Deaflympics and you saw Cindy swim for the Commonwealth Games, and what an amazing experience. And that visibility that it gave you. You were in the Deaflympics in Los Angeles in America, 1995. I was there too with the Team GB football. I think we're in the same university campus, but we never actually met at that time. It was the university that we stayed at, and there was the Australian area and the Great Britain area. So those were good times that we never actually crossed paths, but that will be another story for another time. But coming back to your specific point about Cindy. So being involved at 17 with the Deaflympics, that is amazing. That was an amazing achievement. But I wanted to ask you, that was the start of the stepping stones, but when did you start to aspire to the Olympics? I mean, you need to tell us about that journey, that Olympic goal, and what made you go for it.
Great question. Okay, it goes back when I was seven, watching TV with my mother. My mother was watching black and white TV for a movie, best sporting event. People were marching, waving, people were flags, little white bird flying off. Mum, what's that? Mum, that's the
The
Olympic
white
Games.
birds.
The Olympic Games. What's that? Well, that's the biggest international sporting event where each country send their best athletes to compete against each other. Oh, but she said it's unique, very unique, special. Why? Because if you go to that event, you become Olympian. And that unique and that name never got a young 7-year-old boy asked my mum, can I become Olympian? And the good thing, my mum, remember her specially, she was like, well, it's the first time for everything, but when they say, when man decided they will go to the moon, people said impossible, but can. They said, why not? And mum's response was like, why not? First time for
That
everything.
stuck.
That started every 2 years, winter, summer, or what. Because I love the emotions, the bass, couldn't hear the talking.
Mm-hmm.
I run to the corner shop with the newspaper, never buy it. We didn't have the money. Read what happened. Dad, what happened? Why? Every year. Yeah. So I went, 1985 Deaflympics, a 17-year-old with low expectation of myself, doing meet many deaf people from different around the world, and it was like starting. And they embrace you. Oh, it was just and lucky because I was doing athletics, doing different events. So I had the option to talk. What do you do? I'm stop. I'm a teacher. I teach. I'm physio. I'm studying law. It's like market class.
Such variety.
What is happening here overseas? I'm missing in Australia. So that sort of influenced me. So the Olympic dreams only because I would do well at school athletics. One day I do 13 events, 100, 200, 400, 800, long jump, hurdle, try to do everything because I knew if I would do well, they would get the best athletes and the day I get picked. So and that's where I had the option to get respect from hearing people. Shooting. They knew I wasn't that bright person, but as an athlete, my friend who was the athletic club, he was a national junior decathlon champion in Australia. And he heard and said, you're crazy doing 13 athletics events in one day. Why not do decathlon? I said, what's that? He said, why, watch the 1984 Olympic Games. This man from UK,
Yay.
his name, Daily
Yeah.
Thompson. He did 10 events, decathlon. Oh, what? And what? And I was just with him. Not only he's a great athlete, but his personality, doing not big, just hard, relaxed. Watch him and awe of him. It became my idol. So, lucky next year, before I went to the Olympics 85, I had a state championship, Queensland, with Australia. I'm fit. It was the first decathlon championship. I competed with my friend, he's the national champion. I had no training, but pole vault, nothing.
No training.
Well, we didn't have a pole around money, no cushion, nothing. So I sort of learned, bought a book, how to throw a javelin, how to hurdle, just taught myself. So I went through and asked my friend, what's the next event? So first 100 metres, what's next? Discus, no. Long jump, oh, full. Then what's next? High jump, no. Shot put, oh. When the pole vault, that's tomorrow. Oh, my. Then, short story, finished that event. And the last event was 1,500 metres. I don't like it. Never did. But opted. And I said to my friend, oh, thank you for the opportunity. Good experience. I like 9 events. I like the last one. So, congratulations you. He said, why are you congratulating me? He said, you won. I said, how? Look at the scoreboard. I actually beat him. I said, how did I beat you? He said, you pole vaulted better than me. And I don't know how, just learning myself. Somehow I get points. I beat him. So I won my first medal, gold medal. I realised I've been training 100 metres, 200 metres, long jump, missed out a medal. The first time win. Maybe that's the bit for me. So, yeah, under 20 Queensland Championship, won that. Then again, third year in a row, in the National Championships, 1988. That was the Olympic trial, 88. It was the National Open Men. So we ranked 15, 16 in all of Australia. So I've already moved to Adelaide to coach there, great pole vault coach, only 6 months training. And I went in, I came third, and the man who won was going to the Olympics. And I realised I did 10 trial or career. And he went, and I was on the diet, first, second, third, and keep going. So, potential maybe 4 years. So I made a commitment. I only did 6 months training with expert coaching in Adelaide. I moved by myself, gave up 6 months work, moved, stayed with my coach. I did 6 months, the third Australia. What if I train more, train every day, what today? How far I will go. Story. I remember Cindy Lou said, to be successful, you have to do more than your competitors. That is true. Mm-hmm. So you should read the book from Daley Thompson, his story. He said, I train every day. I said, so 1989, almost 1989, Deaflympian in New Zealand, Christchurch. I went there and did decathlon there. Lucky I won that gold medal, plus broke the world record. But again, didn't know before. I could qualify for Commonwealth Games in 1990. So, my coach said, you'll qualify for next year, Commonwealth Games in Auckland, in New Zealand. So it's like, maybe that Olympic dream will come close. But what the most biggest inspiration was in 1990. I finally met my idol, Daley Thompson. So I'll show you where this goes.
Wow. Amazing.
He couldn't speak, but I was like, I couldn't speak, man. I had so many questions to ask. A friend introduced. I just lost for words. And I knew everything about him. I couldn't speak. Funny. But
wow.
All I could say, I have a photo of him. But he remembers me. So I train again 7 days a week, 2 or 3 times a day. And one thing I learned is to be successful at that level, you have to do more than what your competitors do So I had to set my own little small goal. What you do on the track, but what you do off the track is important. So learn from asking questions, how do you be successful? What do you do? Learning the tricks in that area. So I trained, like I said, 7 days, but I made sure I made a commitment. I trained on my birthday, Christmas Day, Easter, trained through that. I trained 2 or 3 times more on those days because I knew my competitors would not be training. They had to do more of that. The little things like my coach would say, I want you to run 6 times 200 meters. I would make sure that I run 6 times 210 meters, extra 10 meters, with extra more help. That inspired me. So yeah, that's inspiration. The 1992 Olympic trials in Adelaide, very, very hot, 42, 45 degrees Celsius.
Very hot.
The won that, qualified for the Olympics, not once but 3 times. So the dream becomes reality. So that it's about started with 7, a long time. So, but I have to say, I can't thank enough. If I didn't go to America, the Olympics 85, not exposed to different role models, I realised you either accept what people tell you, think you can't do, or believe in yourself. I will be a different person today. I'm really thankful I went there and really opened me up and realised I was not the problem. The people around me were the problem, or the environment around me that was fixing me. So that's how I got there.
Amazing, amazing. Wow. I mean, that's such an inspiring story. And I want you to keep telling more. But, you know, it started when you were so young, your mom saying, why not? Anything's possible. And that gave you that concept, that gave you the idea in your head, you know, the Deaflympics, and just having that awakening of all the athletes at such a great standard, and made you become even more committed and determined. Having Cindy around with you in Australia helped as well. Daley Thompson. I mean, Daley Thompson, some of us met Daley Thompson years later, years afterwards, when he'd retired as an athlete. But he mentioned you. He talked to me about you before we knew each other properly. So he did mention, oh, a deaf guy who was with us, and then you know, competed at the Commonwealth Games. And I was like, wow, a deaf person, and that was you all those years ago. So moving on, what's important is that you, of course, you know, you didn't achieve what you achieved without hard work, determination, resilience, focus. And like you said, you know, getting up in the morning, doing the training at lunchtime, training in the afternoon, training at night, going to bed. You know, I mean, the commitment there and that dedication. So you achieved your dream in 1992. So I just want to pick up on that point, of course. You know, I've read your book, your autobiography, called Think Again. And I picked up on a part that I wanted to ask you about, because obviously the inspiration, the determination, the resilience, the drive was there. But at the same time, you told us about what challenges you had, because, you know, Think Again, what does that title mean, and why did you pick that as the title? Something must have happened at that point. So can you tell us? Can you share that with us, please?
Okay.
Just briefly, if possible.
It's a good story, but a long short, really. Just as you know already, people tell me can't do. So my dream was realising their potential. I was almost not selected to go to the Olympic Games. There was a bit of an issue in Australia, where there were more athlete numbers than the only predicted big number of Olympians will go more. So almost wasn't picked, but fit me there. at the same time, I feel this was the opportunity because I remember Daley Thompson when he won the gold medal in 1984 Olympic. He wore a T-shirt saying, "Thanks for the great time, great game."
Yes, that's
I thought,
right.
why not? Copy
Yeah.
that. I said to my friend, what can I do to show internationally what Deaf can do in my event, 10 event athletics? I told him I'm thinking of doing a T-shirt, and well, we can brainstorm. And I said, oh, who said deaf people can't do anything? And then I thought the back, oh, look at me now. I thought, now that big ego. And I thought, how to get people somehow think again of the back of my T-shirt, the back of my shirt. So that morning for the competition, I knew the 10,000 people in the media, TV, were worried because I remember in Mexico City, you know, Black Power. And I didn't want that to happen. I have to be positive about this. So I kept the T-shirts, had to go through check the bag, check to make sure they have other sponsorship. They had them that came in, and I took the jacket off, I wore it, and I knew straight away, hoping that they'll see that I'm a deaf person competing in an international event, doing 10 athletic events. I'm hoping that will people to realize that can do anything. So that was a scary moment because I thought they might take me away. You can't do that now, but lucky I was brave to make it happen. So I think that was a big moment for me to send that message out, and I'm really pleased they did. That led to my book, that they think again, when I ever talk to people, they share me their goal, their dream. I think, why not? What's stopping you?
Yeah.
And but only you stopping yourself. Think again, it's like thinking again, reminded, think a different way. So that helps.
Wow. Just wow.
That's what it
Looking
is.
at the Barcelona Games in Spain in 1992, I remember I was holding my first child at that time, watching the Olympic Games on television. And then I saw this fella from Australia wearing this kind of fancy green and white shorts. And I was like, did not realize this was you. I never noticed the t-shirt, but I saw a conversation about you, but I had no idea who you were back then. It was only until many years later that was you. I missed the boat twice. Now, I did become lucky the third time and met you many years later. Now, it's never too late, is it? But to go back to the bit that you were talking, obviously you made an impact in the media world. The Olympic media is very, very sensitive, as we know, but they
Yeah,
embraced you. You weren't reprimanded, but it did open up the concept, the perception, which was good. And people still talk about that many years later. And what a fascinating story you are sharing with us. I want to move on, conscious of time. Oh no, actually, we're actually all right for time. I do want to ask you another question. I remember you took on the opportunity after you retired, but you were still involved in Deaf Sports Australia for a period of time, plus other roles. You've been a chair of many committees, organisations, and a CEO of Deaf Children Australia. You have undertaken many roles over the years. Now, one thing I would like you to share with us is how did you come about becoming involved with the organising committee for the Melbourne, your hometown, Melbourne Deaf Olympics in 2005? Obviously, you face challenges with your government, with funding. Can you tell us that journey and how that came to be? Because you were hugely respected back then in terms of the challenges and the barriers that you had to face at that time.
If that's right. I think when I came back as a sporting person, I was privileged. I had developed a profile where I'm the deaf with hearing. I realised I had a bit of a positive impact and influence. I was always invited to speak to parents, children, or hearing schools or businesses. Realise maybe I have a possible way to influence a positive impact on that. And I remember one time I was speaking, one person asked me a question. So if you do well in sport, now you realise what you can do, what about your professional career? And it was at that point where I had to, we don't get paid as an athlete, a professional player, so
Yeah,
it was difficult. I worked 15 hours a week to train 7 days a week. The money, and then you realise I have to start considering where a career in that space. I guess, trying to love it, trying to love it. That time was trying to get involved in, to bid for the Deaflympian, missed in 1985, tried again in 1989, tried again in 1993, and then the fourth time to bid for 2005. I knew as a person being in the Deaflympics, I know how it impacted me and changed my life. So I thought, how can we bid this big international event in Australia? I guess before that happened, I had another deaf friend. He was starting to be a lawyer himself, and he was in Adelaide. He's no sporting person, but studying law. He becoming a legal person, a lawyer. He said, "Yeah, I finished year 11. I can go into university as a mature age student after 18. You have a good feeling at school, and no good, better now, interpreter, notator." Really encouraged me to do study marketing at that time in the University of South Australia. I realised we had the interpreter capturing on interpreter notator my information. I realised wasn't me the problem. I was learning a lot about running business, developing networking. I've already knew as a sport person that transferable skill will help me in other areas of advocacy or work. So I was lucky Australia set up for the national relay service, the relay program. So I applied for that job and I realised that job was a brilliant job because I knew again making a positive impact on people's lives. They can do that for. So I felt I have a potential to influence, developing relationships with government businesses, telling them about the value of communication access. I think from that experience, it built my skill in other sport importance of relationships, leadership skills, and that. So when I did that for 9 years as an executive officer, I look after media, PR, advertising, general community about what is the relay service. Realised that I have possible to influence more about bringing the event of the Deaflympian Games to Melbourne. I guess that experience is taught me about how to tell the story, because the challenge for me at the 2005 Deaflympian Games was we had no video, no photo. I had really one book. Maybe you remember 1985, they had a book. That's what we had, no video, nothing to show. So the only way I could try to influence people was tell my story. I want to tell you a story of a young boy. He had a dream. I didn't say my name, who was a young deaf boy, had a dream where people loved that joy. I think that helped him. If we brought this to Australia, how many young deaf, hard of hearing children we can influence, making positive dreams. So that was the way I used skills in that and brought people on board. And that's how I sort of learned leadership skills about not having a name, your CEO or your president. It's not. But if you can lead people, guide people, and motivate, and push people successful, I realised as an athlete, I love motivating people to the best of themselves. So I think that helped me develop skills in those areas. Deaflympics, well, 2005 was a challenging experience, but yeah, it worked well.
Wow. You have faced incredible challenges along the way. From what you have said, it looks as though you are incredibly resilient and determined to work through it all. Now, in the mainstream world, when you present, people are impressed with your achievements. As a deaf Olympian, deaf, yes, but an Olympian, it gives you the status in your country. And at the same time, it has given you opportunities to open up your world. And you're right, you learn. You learn from being an Olympian. You had to establish your career. You succeeded through university. You became a mature student and got your degree. Now, overall, you have not given up. I'm assuming that you still have that inner determination. Now, there are two more questions that I would like to ask. But just to summarize what you have just spoken about, you are inspiring me, and I'm sure you're doing the same for the audience right now as well. I do want to ask you about your current position as Director of Accessibility Communications. And with your leadership journey and your role currently, can you speak about your role as director with this national disability insurance company in Australia? Can you talk a little bit about your current work?
A new area, funny enough, back in 2012, I was the president of the Australian Federation of Disability Organisations, was the national peak of disability group, all disability, very deaf, blind, physical disability, intellectual ID. So I was lucky to be chair of that. We were lobbying for that national disability insurance agency to establish $46 billion a year thing to change people's lives. It convinced the Australian government, they were on board with that. Both parties were on board. There was a lot of lobbying, talking about why this will change people's lives. I knew that, my learning from other disability groups, the challenges are very similar to us, deaf people too. We have communication barriers, they have physical barriers. I think this concept will change their life and their family too. But finally, government established this world-leading agency, and I deliberately started to continue in different areas, different organisations. Why? Is because I wanted to build my knowledge, not just limit myself to deaf only, but broaden it. Then hope that learning I can bring back to a national role, particularly the government and the National Disability Insurance Agency had a job that came up, a director of communication, accessible communication. That very new, nothing. So when I got the job, my boss said, "We're starting from scratch. We want to build a new team. We want to make sure we develop proper what is best practice minimum standards, accessible communication. We deliver service to them and want to make sure we're right. And I thought an opportunity for me to bring all the years of experience and knowledge of all the journeys all along. And they did have a lot of experience with value to add to establish this new team at nearly 7,000 staff. So my job soon will be appointing new staff, and we communicate like media release or any publication we get. We try to take plain English, convert to easy read for those maybe have ID, make sure that those who are blind or low vision, make sure they can read the screen reader. Of course, yours, make sure that's accessible. That's my role there, to make sure that not only staff but people who use the scheme can have access to what's best for them. So I've also a good challenge to broaden my knowledge and expertise in that area. So it becomes very
Amazing.
important. And good thing about this agency is that the accessibility front and center everything they do to make sure things first. You know, we think about us at the end. We talk about the truth. So I have to train all the staff, make sure they're aware. New staff come in, you have to learn about access using Word, document, Excel, PowerPoint. All that has to be accessible. Consider who the audience. So really big, important role. And I'm privileged to be in that area.
Wow, that is a really important role, and it's important to have that role regarding accessibility issues. And accessibility is a big word everywhere. It's the same here in the UK as well. It's a really important word. You know, we have good practice, and things need brushing up on good practice, and it makes a big talking point here in the UK. It's obviously the same there in Australia. So it's good to see that Australia are really making positive efforts to make sure that accessibility is there for everybody. So before I ask you a question about your perspective, sorry, I have to ask you the question for the audience. Can you tell us the honest truth? Are you a fan of Australian rules football? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
What story have you heard?
Well, you became a qualified referee,
Oh, yes,
is that right?
yes, umpire, yes, yeah.
Umpire.
Umpire, sorry, yeah, umpire, yes. 10 years ago, 2005, they retired, so back to cricket. Still playing cricket for Melbourne Deaf Cricket Club. I think it's the oldest deaf sporting club in the world, established in 1888. So cricket's been playing with it nearly 15, 20 years. Can't remember. Great little club. But it's a long game, you know, cricket, 11 to 6. My son was playing football, AFL football, as a junior. So I volunteer for a goal umpire, you know, we go boom, for goal. That means one. Enjoy that because you don't need to hear anything. Then two field umpire, the two men on the middle. Umpire, you should join us. We have professional umpire for one. Why not? Because you don't need to hear, you need to eye, that's all. So I went in to about 2015 and I enjoy it. It's not a hard game, but you need to eye, really good. But I've always wanted to do field umpire in the middle. I want, but I feel holding myself back. I can't hear the half time, boom, 3/4 time, boom, nothing. But I just realised 4 years ago, I realised, hang on, there's two field umpires, one is hearing he can cover me if I can't hear the horn. So I had to talk. Experimented that and found it, and I've
Tested it
been
out.
now over 385 games, 12 grand final as a field umpire and goal umpire both.
Grand finals.
So the deaf person, so you
Wow.
a hearing umpire, he'll so like adapting again. So I really enjoy that. Really active. It's great for deaf because deaf don't hear the not bad, just focus. Another deaf game.
Exactly. It definitely deaf gain. Right. So you've
Okay.
secretly revealed your umpire role. That's amazing. A lot of people don't realise that you're part of that. And the grand final part, I mean, that of course it's very popular in Australia, and we watch games on TV here.
Not yet, not yet.
So I've got two more questions. In what way, you've had a unique experience, your journey has been unique, but in what way, as a deaf individual, can you embrace your approach to work and life and having that balance?
How I've managed work-life balance. I have been.
Yeah, what I mean as a deaf individual, on your leadership journey, you've embraced all the challenges that you've come across, all the opportunities, and now you're here as Dean Barton-Smith. So what's your balance? What's your perspective based on your experience so far? Kind of like your journey in summary. So you've had your journey. What's it been like for you?
Great question. Well, that's writing that book and still visiting where I am now, lucky now. I think, yes, I embrace challenges. Lucky, as a sporting person, we embrace challenges. We try our best. If we lose, I learned that losing can be a best teacher for us. Most people I've seen who say they lost, they're abused. I said, really, losing is your best teacher to become a better person. I said, don't abuse it, learn from it. It's invaluable. I've lost more competition than I have won, but the one-on-one is more important. So I think navigating through life, you would never be successful. You will have, I said to many people, I have never met a successful person who's been through without challenges, without rocking. I have not met one person yet. Plus, I have never met a person who themselves said, I'm successful by myself alone. Impossible. Impossible. I learned that. We don't see that. Deaf, hard of hearing, only see. We watch the soccer game, the finished product. We don't see what happened behind. The challenges, the frustrations, sweat. People say no. I realise that the journey is sometimes you have to create your own path to be successful or what you want to achieve. And sometimes you need to learn to adapt. If you adapt, you can go far. So I think that lesson learned a lot. Today's world, I think we're lucky. Back in my time, 70s, 80s, 90s, not good. I think the future is very bright. I'd like to say congratulations to Great Britain for passing BSL, passing recognition.
The act, yeah.
What that, but that's our big challenge next. So I think like we learn from each other overseas. There's more opportunities. How can we bring our skills, our knowledge, our network, and fluence to make the change for better? So to me is what next is, I can see we only live on this earth once. There's an opportunity to make an impact, to help the next generation be a better life going forward.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's just a fantastic summary that you've just given. I'm sure the audience are just feeling inspired by your words. One area you've mentioned, you've talked about Daley Thompson as your role model, your hero. There we go again. That's right. Can you tell us who is your deaf role model? Who inspires you as a deaf person?
I guess if one person had to be Cindy Lou.
I thought it would be.
Who
That's what I thought.
16, I used to ask her a lot of questions. What you know? And made me realise that the value of mentoring to form, you never know that young person. And that's why I always now, when I go and visit children, I understand they've been the time to. So she didn't tell me the secret to being successful. I probably will not be successful now. So that's why it's so important we have deaf leaders who expose their different ways how to see it. It's not always the same. I learn from you, Craig Crowley, and learn from others. I love asking questions. What's your journey like? Barriers, all different, but it helps you learn their tools how to successful.
Wow. Wow. Just wow. I think that wraps up my questions. And your last answer there was just amazing. So during this interview, it's been a real pleasure to chat with you. And also, it's just that you are a real icon. You are such an icon to so many deaf athletes around the world, hearing athletes too. You know, president of the Deaf Olympics, and people have spoken about you so highly. So such great respect for you. You are a real trailblazer. You've inspired a lot of athletes, and I don't want to embarrass you, but you know, it's such an accolade that you have, and I think it's really important. And I love the way you say, well, losing is a great way to learn. And I think that's absolutely right. There's no such thing as success. There is success, but you've worked hard for it. You've got the grit and determination. I mean, those are your words, you know, and I've read your book. I've read from cover to cover, and you know, I'm not in sport, but I've participated in some sports, and I feel that fire that burns in your story. And I'm not advertising it for you, but I would encourage the audience to buy that book. It is worth the read. So Dean, it's been wonderful to have you here at the UK Deaf Leadership Summit webinar. Thank you so much, Dean Barton-Smith.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
I'm always happy to help my British friends. I know they helped me when I was young, so I can repay the service and thanks. That's what I do. So thanks for the opportunity. I hope your audience have found value in my discussion and thought. So great question. Thank you, Craig.
Pleasure, pleasure. The pleasure is ours. Thank you so much, Dean Barton-Smith. So now the UK Deaf Leadership Summit webinar the series is completed for 2024. It's also a perfect moment to have this platform with the celebration of the Deaf Olympics, and so it's perfect to have Dean Barton-Smith here with us this morning telling his story. Deaf Hearing Trailblazers and Action Deafness are already making plans for next year for Series 2025, so watch this space to find out what's coming. In the meantime, Dean Barton-Smith's interview has been recorded, has been captioned, and will be shared with the audience members. Thank you so much, audience, for sitting and watching this inspirational talk. Thank you. Thanks again a million, Dean Barton-Smith, and we'll be in touch.
One more thing. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank
Bye
you.
all.
Bye. Thank you.